Rectangle and oval object details. In addition to lines, rectangle and oval shapes are the other two simplest kinds of geometric objects that you can place on a label. Rectangles can have either square or rounded corners, while of course ovals are more round. We will mostly discuss and show the properties of rectangles, but almost everything shown and discussed applies equally well to oval shapes. To create a new rectangle object, just click on the rectangle tool in the lower toolbar. The cursor will change to a rectangle shape. Move the cursor over the label to the point where you want the upper left corner of the rectangle and click once. A new rectangle object will be created that has an arbitrary width and length. The rectangle has handlebars at its corners and sides that indicate it is selected. The lower toolbar will automatically turn off the rectangle tool and make the selection tool active, and the cursor will automatically change back to the selection arrow pointer. Rectangles are determined by giving the coordinates of the upper left corner point and giving the length and width dimensions. Rectangles can have an interior color or not, and they have a border line or not. The border line has its own color and thickness and line style. To change the interior rectangle color, you can just click on the rectangle to select it, and then left click the color tool in the upper toolbar to bring up a color dialog box. After selecting a new color and clicking OK, you should see your chosen color in the rectangle. To change the borderline color of the rectangle, you can right-click the color tool in the upper toolbar after you select the rectangle. If you make the borderline color the same as the interior color, then the border will seem to disappear. You can change the position of a rectangle by clicking anywhere inside the rectangle to select it, and then drag the rectangle to a new location. When you let go of the mouse, the rectangle will be redrawn in its new position. To change the length or width of a rectangle, you can grab and drag one of the handlebars on the outside edge of the rectangle. A corner handlebar can change both dimensions at once, while the side handlebars only change one dimension at a time. To make either length or width an exact size, we recommend bringing up the Properties dialog and directly keying in the exact sizes you want. Directly keying in numbers gives you very fine control. To unselect the rectangle object, just click in any white space area of the label and you will see the handlebars disappear to indicate the rectangle is no longer selected. Now we are going to change the borderline color to black so we can see it. You can change the thickness of the borderline by first selecting the rectangle, and then you can click the line thickness tool that is in the upper toolbar to automatically select a different line width. Newly created rectangles have border lines that default to 0.02 inches thick. To manually edit the properties of a rectangle, you can either right-click it to bring up a Properties menu item, or you can just click it to select it, and then you can click the Properties button in the upper toolbar. Either way, you would bring up the dialog box that shows all the properties of the currently selected rectangle. To make a perfect square, you can check the checkbox to make a square. This property is not permanent, but when you close the dialog box, the change will become apparent. Any object can be given the non-printable property. This does not affect the object appearing on the screen, but it means the object won't print on a printer. An object can also be locked. When an object is locked, it can't be accidentally moved, and it can't be resized either. If you lock an object and want to later change it, you must first open the Properties dialog and uncheck the locked property. The border line can have any thickness, and it can have one of 3 line styles. The default rectangle has a solid line style. We are now going to change the border to 0.02 inches thick, and we are going to make the border line a dotted line. Note the object now has a dotted border line. With a dotted line, you can change the size of the dots, and you can also change the number of dots per inch. First, get to the Properties dialog, and once there, click the Advanced Style Properties button. Note how the new border has changed from the previous dotted style. Next, we are going to change to the dashed line style with a 0.02 inch thickness. You can perform variations on the dashed style by setting the ratio of the solid to blank parts. For example, we can click the Advanced Style Properties button and change the ratio to 2:5. Notice how the dashed style changes. The last property of rectangles we will discuss is the rounded corner property. When this property is selected, then the line style will automatically change to the solid style. You cannot have dotted or dashed line styles in a rectangle when the rounded corners option is turned on. However, you can set the borderline thickness to any value. To delete this rectangle or any object, you can just select it and hit the Delete Del key on your keyboard. You will be prompted to confirm you want to delete the object. Now we are going to create an oval. Select the Oval Creation tool in the lower toolbar. Note how the cursor changes to an oval shape. Just click anywhere on the label to create the oval object. We can make a red circle by forcing this oval object to be a true circle, and by selecting the red color for its interior color and its border color. After making the oval, we can move it anywhere on the label. All the border line styles we just demonstrated with rectangles apply to ovals. In fact, we can perform a special type of operation with our red oval. We are going to change the borderline color to white, and we are going to set the borderline style to dotted, and we are going to make the borderline thickness 0.07 inches thick. That will make rather thick dots, and we are going to change the number of dots per inch to 8. Note how the red circle now appears to have a serrated edge. This is because the white dots around the border are making the edge appear serrated. If we change the borderline color to dark blue, we can better see why the white dots have the effect that they have. Now we are going to make the serrated edge even more pronounced by simply changing the number of dots per inch to only 6. This makes the spacing between the dots just slightly wider. This concludes our study of the properties of rectangles and ovals.